Hey folks, welcome to Bear Mountain. Today we're just kind of circling back and doing an update. We did a video a couple weeks ago about how we're implementing a new composting system here on the farm to try to make our own compost internally. And kind of wanted to just touch bases back on this pile here, which was started, actually was finished for heating up and going through its cycle on August 22nd, and today is the 18th of October. So it's been approximately 8 weeks, and I just wanted to show you guys what the material looked like. This pile had never been turned. So what you got is, let me get this out of the way, is you got a pretty well decomposed material, and there's still quite a bit of moisture in it. And what we're doing is we're taking this pile here and we're turning it one time into our new bin over here. Now, what you may notice is on our new bin, that, let me move my wheelbarrow out of the way here, is that we are lining the inside of the bin with cardboard. And this is kind of an idea. I saw this in one of Charles Dowding's most recent videos and thought, it's a smooth idea to keep things from slipping out of the compost bin, because as you know, the things break down, they get smaller in size, so it's easier for things to kind of slip out. And also too, it'll be a little bit of insulation from too much excessive moisture from the outside, so it'll kind of help it finish off. So I've already moved, maybe a little more than a third, moving on to about a half of the pile into here. And when I get finished moving this pile, it'll probably be approximately about this high. So we'll put another little layer of cardboard around the outside. And when I stopped, when we started moving, we stopped the process in this pile. The center temperature of the pile had dropped below 100 degrees, so it was between about 90 and 100. And the outside temperature range was about 75, so it actually, none of this material was shredded. It was just, we just layered it in various layers of brown to green, and put a little bit of maybe some regular compost that we had left over from a previous bin in it, just kind of a little bit of an inoculant. This pile here got going at its height was 160 degrees and stayed that way for approximately almost 3 out of the 4 weeks before the temperature started coming down gradually on its own. And we didn't do anything to the pile other than, you know, this has been really dry around here. We were just kind of watching it for moisture level, and I would add extra moisture to it maybe a few times a week, you know, just kind of put a little sprinkler on it, or give it a squirt with a hose and a nozzle, just enough to keep the moisture level going. It keeps the biology going. And now this material is going to finish over here in this bin. When I move it, it's going to stay here until at least probably the end of January. So we'll give it another good 3 months, and we're not going to turn it at all. So there isn't any need to turn this. And this material is already probably more than 3/4 broken down. And as I showed you guys when I was, let me get this completely out of the way here. As you can tell, there's no professionals here in the filming. The material is actually broken down quite a bit. Now there's some stuff, you know, that are browns that were on the outside of the pile that'll get turned to the inside of the pile over there. We'll just make sure that we have adequate moisture. You know, so as I'm layering it into that pile, I'll wet it down a little more just to make sure we keep the moisture level up. And that'll be it. So that'll fill that bin about halfway. Now our next phase is, this one will now be open for this bin here, which we finished filling on the 10th of October, which was about a week ago. And it's already dropped. I had it mounted up significantly above the top, and it's already dropped down about probably a couple, 3 inches. And this one will be turned into this pile right around the 10th of December, thereabouts, so in about 60 days. This pile's running a little cooler, so it might take a little longer. It's only running at about 140 at this point. but it's obviously cooking itself down. So we'll move that material into this pile, or if it's as decomposed as it is right here, what I may do is I may just move it completely over to that pile over there, and just get me a full bin that I can use come near the end of February or so. So this one, I don't know how long, whether I'm going to give it a complete 3 months to finish off or not. It just kind of depends on how far along it's at. But our goal is to get enough material, starting with this guy here, it'll be about 1.5 yards of material that we can start using in the garden come February. And this one would definitely be ready to use by March. So it'll be like a month later. Meanwhile, what we're doing is we're starting to fill another bin over here, our 4th bin, and we're going to build a 5th bin once this guy is full. So the whole process is going to be always going where we're going to have material coming in.
Where is the 5th bin going?
The 5th bin will be back where the black plastic is.
Oh.
So that'll be right there. And so this will be a 5-bin system.
And they just walk to different empties.
Right. Hopefully the idea would be the one right next to it. So in a perfect world, instead of dumping into that one, we built that one the way it is because I wanted extra holding capacity. So depending on how finished, compost can get it at certain times of the year, I think it moves faster than other times. So the idea is that would be able to hold extra.
And we couldn't put it any closer because of the slope.
It's the slope, and then we had a drain line that we had to run pretty much right where that rock wall is.
Yeah.
That drain line was right there, so I could not drive any stakes into that. So yeah, that bin is further away. These other guys are like right next to each other, so it's a lot easier.
So is there anything specific holding the cardboard in place?
No, just the compost on the inside. I temporarily put a couple of stakes in there just to kind of hold up part of it while I fill it in. But as I fill it in, the compost will be holding the inside of the cardboard against the wire itself. Now, to protect it from rain, what we're going to be doing is taking some hoops, and we'll be kind of building just a little dome over the top, and then I will be taking some black plastic and put it over the dome-like structure and just rope it around the side. So the whole idea is the rain will hit it and it will just slough off, and so we won't over-soak the piles.
So do you use any of the leaves from the filberts behind you? You can see there's lots of leaves dropping.
Some I may, if they're further out this way, I'll do that. But basically the stuff back there, what I'm going to do is pile that back up underneath the trees, because I want that to be, what feeds the trees going forward. So it looks a little messy now until it gets finished with fall drop, and then all that stuff will be raked up underneath the trees itself, and then we'll clean kind of the suckers off the trees and stuff like that.
Do you want to share your story, humorous story?
Which one? I have lots of them. Huh?
With the deer?
Oh yeah. Yeah, this bin, we finished it off, and the bin had been empty for about 1.5 weeks or so, and I came out last night, or yesterday morning actually, and I looked over at this bin and it looked really strange because the wire had been pushed up. And what I found was that a deer had come in and I guess was rubbing on it and maybe hooked his antlers to it and decided to start lifting. Luckily, it was pinned down enough that it kind of bent the front up pretty good, and I kind of had to rebend that back. But yeah, he was using it to do something. He's rubbing on it in some way or another, and he hooked himself, and then he just ripped it up. The deer have just been crazy for the last couple of weeks. They've been, our pumpkins and squash are finishing off, but it's weird. You know how when pumpkins and squash get like the mildew on it and the leaves are turning, because the seasons are turning, the vines are pretty much done. These deer are camping out there in the middle of the night, and they're eating diseased leaves off of pumpkins, which kind of tells me these guys are really hard up for water. I think they're trying to eat anything that's green, even if it's half dead, which is kind of bizarre. So we've just been really, really dry. They're doing things they've never done before. We've never had that kind of problem.
But the weather's supposed to change this weekend.
Yeah, we haven't had any rain for 4 months of any significance.
Anything.
And so that's very unusual for our climate here in Western Oregon. Usually our rains start in early October or even late September.
We have had 12 days in above 80 or above in the month of October, and that's usually is 0 or 1.
Yeah. So it's been a very strange climatic year. Spring was long, wet, and cold, and fall was long, dry, and hot.
Which is great if you're growing late tomatoes.
Yeah, it really helped the tomato crop, and it's probably going to help the sweet potatoes too. So
we're hoping.
Yeah. So anyway, any other thoughts here that you have on this?
No, it's just that what are you going to put in this? Is any kind of bokashi or anything go in this?
There was actually a bokashi in this one, and there is one in the other pile that's fermenting right now, and it's gone. I mean, totally gone. We also had a lot of windfall apples that we couldn't do anything with, that because they were too far gone, and they were in this pile too, and they are totally gone.
Do you worry about the seeds?
Nah, not really, because this pile was running at 160. I mean, sure, I guess things that are towards the outside, but I'm not going to be worried about it too much, because as we put the compost on, weeds are going to germinate. There's weed seeds all around this place, and we'll just use our collinear hoe to get them when they're young, and that's it. Not going to worry about it. And the thing that's amazing to me is this one was full of blackberries and English ivy, or I guess if that's the right term for it. But the landscape type of ivory that people have around places. We have a bunch of that, and that trimmings that went in there, and that was all kind of viney, and you can kind of still see some of the vine, but it's broken down pretty good. And this is going to be, I think, pretty good worm food too, because I've already found quite a few composting worms starting on the outside and working in it. And so if we have the right moisture in here, I took the temperature on this morning, and it's running at about 80. So it's already starting to heat itself back up a little bit, but I'm going to watch the temperature once I fill this up, and then I'm going to inoculate it with some worms from our worm bin just to kind of speed up the process. I mean, I think they're going to find it on their own anyway, but we'll put some in here. Maybe grab some out of the worm tower in the garden and throw them in here. Let them do their thing.
Worms are eating the zucchini.
Yeah, we had a few zucchini that got out of control, and I took one, whacked it up, and threw it in the worm tower, and it disappeared in about 2 weeks. Just gone. So yeah, they were hungry. Anywho, just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. It's like, this is really a lot less work than turning all the time. This is the only turn I'm going to do on it. After this, it goes to the garden. And
so your life is like Charles Downing's. It's all about compost.
Yeah. Well, we either buy it or we make it, It's kind of been that way.
Well, we're making it now.
So we're going to make it. And so we should be able to get, my goal is to be able to get about 1.5 yards a month kind of coming off this thing, if we do it right. And then look at that and there'll be a period of time that'll be about 3 or 4 months of the year we won't get anything, but by that point we'll already have everything coated with compost. So when we're harvesting compost, it'll come out in chunks like that, and then hopefully over the entire course of the year we can get about six yards of material using this kind of system, which should take care of our garden, our flower boxes down here, and flower boxes above, and the regular vegetable garden should take care of all of that.
Yay!
Yep. Anywho, thanks for watching, folks, and we'll catch you on the next video, and I hope you're staying safe where you're at. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.